Hello and welcome to this brief video lecture on strategic analysis at corporate level. In our previous lectures, we have already discussed the part of strategy formulation process, including defining the strategic intent to begin, followed by environment analysis, which comprised of analysis of macro and micro factors, industry analysis, including the five forces Porter's model, and organizational internal environment analysis. The subsequent lectures after the environment analysis were followed by exploring the alternatives in terms of corporate level and business level strategies. Once decided upon the corporate level, we discussed in detail the business level strategies or the generic level strategies. Having understood all the alternatives or having explored the alternatives, the next step in the process of strategy formulation is strategic analysis and choice. And in our today's lecture, we are going to cover a part of it, which is we are going to talk about strategic analysis at corporate level. So in order to understand the strategic analysis, let's first try and look at the process of strategic choice. So the first aspect in it is focusing on alternatives. Next is considering selection factors. So these two aspects we have already covered in our previous lectures. So alternatives include the corporate level strategies and the business level strategies. And whereas when we talk about considering selection factors, we are precisely talking about the environmental factors, including the macro factors, micro factors, and the industry level factors and the organizational level factors. So once decided upon or having got an insight on alternatives and selection factors, the next is combining the two and evaluate which strategic alternative will be suited to a particular business unit in a corporate level organization. And having evaluated each and every alternative available at business and corporate level stages, the next step is that one can, or the business manager can, take a strategic decision of strategic choice. So at this stage of evaluation of strategic alternatives, there are certain tools which are available. The first one is of a traditional method which is called as SWOT analysis, which includes strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats pertaining to a particular organization. So strengths and weaknesses are based on the internal competence of the organization, whereas opportunities and threat are part and parcel of the external environment for any organization. This is a traditional method, and though still very relevant, and most of the organization do take it up at initial stages. But when we talk about some more popular techniques, the first one among them is the BCG matrix. It was developed by Boston Consulting Group in 1970s, and it takes into consideration two selection factors, which is business growth rate or industry growth rate, and the second aspect that it takes into consideration is the relative position or the market share of a particular business. Now this framework assumes that increase in market share will result in increase in generation of cash, which is based on the experience curve. And that is why this matrix is also called as growth share matrix, and it classifies the business units of a multi-business firm into four categories based on these two parameters that, or selection factors, that we have just said. That is business growth rate, whether it is high or low, and on the other side we have market share, which is again high and low. So four classification that this matrix does is with high business growth rate and high market share, the category is called a star category. With the low business growth rate but a relatively high market share, we are talking about a cash cow category. The third category is when your business growth rate is high but relative market share of the firm in that particular segment or that particular industry is low. So those are the question marks. And finally, we have where there is low business growth rate and low market share. So that particular category is called as the dog category. Now, as per the BCG or Boston Consulting Group, in a multi-business firm, the money flow in an organization should happen in a particular manner, or how they should be, organizing their resources and cash flow. It says that star category, where business growth rate is high and their relative market position is also high, this is one category which needs a lot of cash because they are still in the growth phase. And on the other hand, they also generate a lot of funds for the organization because they have a relative high position of market share. So this is one area where a lot of funds are to be invested by the firm. The other category that we talked about is the cash cow. So if we look at, or if we compare this thing with the business life cycle of a particular product, so when a particular product reaches maturity level and there is no more further business growth rate or market growth rate available, but the company holds a strong market position or a strong market share, so that is one product which generates a lot of cash, and since it's already has reached matured stage, so they do not require any more cash. So this is a position where the consultants say that the organization should milk the product and generate a lot of cash. Then this particular stage, which is called as question mark, is also known as problem child, because the company is not aware that because since already there is business growth rate is high, or the potential in the in that particular industry is high, but company, because of a low market share, is not sure that whether to invest in that particular product or not, or divest. So this is a caution stage where companies should focus their resources, and they need to select a few, and the remainder products should be divested, which have now this particular product have the potential of becoming stars of tomorrow, and these stars will eventually become cash cows of the future. And then comes the fourth category, where there is no potential in the market. That particular business industry has already seen a maturity stage, and the market share of this particular company in that industry is also very low. So such are the products which consultants or the BCG advise that the company should liquidate and sell off, and the funds from this can either be invested in the question mark to make them into stars, or can be directly invested into the stars so that the company can generate more cash. Now this particular metrics have its some of the limitations, since they are only focusing on two aspects of market growth and relative market share, and there were some other limitations as far as the overall assumption of the framework is concerned. So another model which was devised by McKinsey while they were consulting the General Electric in 1970s, they devised a 9-cell portfolio metrics as a tool for the portfolio analysis. And over here we can look at the two parameters again. One is industry attractiveness, another one is competitive position. Now this is a more comprehensive model, since industry attractiveness not only focus on growth rate, but they're also looking at other factors like market size, industry rivalry, stakeholders in form of suppliers and customers, new entrants, substitutes, and macro factors. On the other side, when we talk about competitive position, they are not only considering the market share, but they're also looking at brand equity, profit margins, competence, the overall competence of the firm, and the technical competence of the firm. So these are the two factors, though it is very similar to the BCG matrix, but the factors over here are more comprehensive in nature. And these circles represent the overall size of the market, the black circles, and within them are the blue circle that represents the relative market share of the company in that particular industry. Moreover, where BCG was only referring to a high and low as category to differentiate between the parameters, they have the GE 9-cell matrix also include a medium stage, and over here they're also looking at strong, weak, and average stage. So as we can see, this particular matrix is also called as spotlight matrix. So green represents the go ahead stage, red represents stop phase, and yellow is more of a think phase. So that is what we look at. So the green phase, where industry attractiveness is medium or high and the relative competitive position is again strong or average. So the consultants, the McKinsey suggested to expand and invest in those areas. Where are the on the yellow phases, they told them to treat them like the problem childs or the question marks of BCG matrix, where they are supposed to select the firms where they're going to invest, and the others they're supposed to divest. And the firms on the with low, relatively low competitive, weak competitive position and low industry attractiveness, they are telling the companies to harvest or divest. So based on these few models, a company can basically look at the overall strategic analysis at corporate level, so they can use these strategies in the portfolio analysis of the firm. So that brings us to the end of this particular video, and thank you for listening. Thanks a lot.